Max Verstappen's Formula 1 title challenge has been boosted by a mid-season Honda engine upgrade that was kept secret until after it had been used in 3 races. Honda introduced an upgrade after the F1 summer break that yielded better engine and car performance. Verstappen used it to take pole at the Belgian Grand Prix and win that race at Spa, then dominated his home round at Zandvoort. It was also in the car for his ill-fated Italian Grand Prix, and the existence of the upgrade was finally revealed publicly ahead of the Russian Grand Prix. Before we go any further, we'll stress now that this is all entirely legal and above board by Honda. It's just been keeping its cards close to its chest. But now we know the hand it's played, so let's get into Honda's no longer secret upgrade and how important it is. F1 engine manufacturers are allowed to introduce one change of specification for each component between the end of the 2020 season and the end of the 2021 season. Honda overhauled its engine design for this year and started the season with a heavily revised internal combustion engine and some updates to the hybrid system. However, it turns out Honda started the year with the 2020 specification battery, known in F1 as the Energy Store. As it had not yet changed that component's specification during the permitted period, it's been allowed to upgrade it during the season. Ferrari's done similar with its own upgrade within the hybrid system, which includes the battery as well. The first sign of the existence of Honda's new battery came at Zandvoort, when Red Bull's Sergio Perez had a set of engine component changes after qualifying. Unlike Verstappen, Perez hadn't switched to a fresh power unit, including the new battery, at Spa. Red Bull and Honda opted to change all of Perez's engine components after a poor qualifying performance at Zandvoort, which was a strategic decision to get the associated grid penalty out of the way at a lower cost. But that meant switching from the old spec battery to the new one, and so Perez had to start from the pit lane as a result, because parts can only be changed in parc fermé conditions without punishment if they are of the same specification. The same thing happened 1 week later at Monza to AlphaTauri driver Pierre Gasly. So it was clear something had changed within this component, but Honda was initially shrewd with what it would say publicly when we asked about it at the time. What we understood though was that Honda had finally unleashed some technology that had taken years to develop. It now has a lighter, low resistance, highly efficient and ultra high power battery cell. That has provided improved power unit performance by increasing the energy available from the hybrid system for longer. It also came with a significant reduction in weight, which contributes to greater chassis performance because it allows for better weight distribution. The battery has a minimum weight of 20 kilos but a maximum of 25, so we know that Honda's old battery was somewhere between those numbers. Trimming the fat here is important as the power unit's entire minimum weight is 150 kilos and the battery represents at least 13% of that total. And we know that even a few kilos can make a significant difference in an F1 car. When we said this was years in the making, we really meant it. Honda's new Energy Store is actually its first battery technology upgrade since the first hybrid F1 engine it designed for 2015. This is a significant step for Honda's power unit because it had previously only changed elements like the casing as the dimension of the Honda engine evolved over the years. Honda's F1 division didn't have enough experience of battery cells to develop the battery internals on its own, especially as the technology has rapidly developed in recent years. So this project, billed as the final major development item for Honda in Formula 1, was led by Honda's racing development facility in the UK, comprised more than 10 different nationalities, and had the full support of Honda's Innovation Research Excellence Research and Development Division and the road car battery development team from Honda's Automotive Centre. The original plan was for the new battery to be introduced as part of a brand new power unit for 2022, but that timeline was created before Honda's decision to withdraw from F1 at the end of 2021. That prompted the company to take on the ambitious aim of developing the all-new F1 engine for 2021, its final year as an active manufacturer. Major revisions to the internal combustion engine and reworked hybrid components were ready for the start of this season. But the long lead time of the battery meant it wasn't ready until the Belgian Grand Prix at the end of August. In addition to developing the cell technology, there's a significant amount of work to undertake to get the battery approved for use on track. That applies to Honda's own testing, making sure the battery can withstand the forces inside an F1 car and also the associated temperatures. But it also applies to the packaging, so the battery passes the mandatory crash tests, and there are some other logistical elements as well. As a lithium-ion battery, the F1 Energy Store must satisfy the United Nations standard that regulates the transport of such battery packs. Without satisfying that requirement, transporting the component to races would not be possible, a factor Ferrari boss Mattia Binotto referred to in the timing of its own new hybrid system. Even though the new battery would be delayed, Honda felt it essential that it ran this year. That was partly so it could be used under the Honda name and partly to aid Verstappen's title challenge, but also so it could understand and improve any issues before Red Bull takes on the use of the Honda engines from 2022. If Honda didn't give Red Bull and AlphaTauri the new battery until next year, there could be reliability problems or a lack of optimization, and Honda would no longer be around to help directly. So now you know the core details of Honda's upgrade, but what's the relevance of the Energy Store itself? Along with the control electronics it houses, the Energy Store is a less heralded part of the complicated modern hybrid engine. It supplies energy to both the MGU-K and the MGU-H, so these components can provide a power boost and control the turbocharger speed respectively. The battery also harvests energy from both components as well. There are restrictions on how much energy the battery can store and release depending on the hybrid system component it's interacting with. The battery can deploy 4 megajoules per lap to the MGU-K, which provides a maximum power boost of 120 kilowatts or around 160 brake horsepower to the engine. But it can only harvest 2 megajoules per lap from the MGU-K. To boost the amount of energy that can be recovered to the battery, there's no regulated limit to the amount that can be harvested from the MGU-H. The battery can also supply an unlimited amount to the MGU-H, which controls the speed of the turbo and can also bypass the battery to supply an unlimited amount of energy to the MGU-K. These complicated interactions make the relevant components extremely heat sensitive. The thermal management of the battery is therefore very important, as is the duty cycle the battery can cope with while ensuring the cells do not deteriorate too rapidly. You can think of that deterioration like a mobile phone. You can continue to charge your mobile and it will say 100%, but over time you'll notice that 100% actually drains a lot quicker than normal. And that's because the battery cells have deteriorated and 100% doesn't really mean 100% anymore. So the deterioration of an F1 battery's life cycle is where the maximum energy it can store gradually declines. That means it's likely the power unit manufacturers have all created batteries that have a capacity greater than 4 megajoules. The capacity of the battery is not limited by the regulation, so it is legal to have a battery that stores more than 4 megajoules. This is provided the difference between the maximum and minimum state of charge doesn't exceed 4 megajoules when the car's on track. So why would you have a high capacity if you can't use it? It's simply to ensure the battery holds the required 4 megajoules of energy even as it deteriorates the older it gets. But the extra capacity will not be too high, as that will come with a weight penalty. Plus, a more efficient energy store, which is what Honda's is claimed to be, will suffer less deterioration as it's used. That would reduce the extra capacity required to be built into the battery, keeping the weight down. So somewhere between 4.5 and 5 megajoules would seem a sensible compromise. Hopefully this serves to explain the inherent complexity of an undervalued element of F1's power unit. While it's overlooked, it still has a significant part to play in terms of performance and vehicle dynamics, which is why Honda went through such pains to finally introduce an upgrade that took years to complete and then kept it hidden while it trialled the new product on track. If you enjoyed our explanation, then please give us a thumbs up to show that you liked this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already part of the team, and we'll see you again for more videos in the future.